The Lowdown with Lorenzo Alexander. It is presented to you by Hutch's Restaurant in Buffalo, redefining fine dining in Buffalo, redefining city dining. Lorenzo Alexander in studio with us. Hello, Lorenzo. How are you doing?
I'm doing real well. Yourself?
Good. You're finished with a week of practice. What was this week like, especially after a game in which guys didn't play very much?
I mean, it was good. It was a good, crisp week of practice. I mean, obviously last week we had a chance to sit or limit some guys that had played a ton of reps during the season, and so I felt that you could see these guys were obviously up for the playoffs, but guys were moving just a little bit quicker, a little bit extra pep in their step because of that additional risk that some guys were able to get on Sunday.
Things get ratcheted up. You can feel it. You walk in, you're excited to prepare. You want to prepare. Guys are hungry for everything. Not that they're not. You know, they're just whatever there is extra in the tank emotionally, you bring it right to the table. You can walk in the locker room and feel it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a whole different mindset. And I think the best way I can explain it is you know, it's one thing to get ready for a season and you got to, you know, mentally prepare yourself for 16 games.
Right.
But then you get to the playoffs, it's like, man, this is just 1 week. 1 week, that's all I got. You know, and that Nelson's promise, it's time to give it all up. And I think guys are easier. You don't have to feel like you have to kind of just methodically. It's not a marathon. This is a sprint. You know, I got to win this game, then we get to the next one. It's another sprint. You know, it's not a marathon. It kind of just changes a little bit with your mindset in that way.
Right. It's just there's nothing. No other considerations down the road.
Right, yeah.
Right? I mean, right. And it's a small thing, but it's not. It's a big thing. Because there ain't no reason not to run the 6 trick plays you got. There ain't no reason to run the fakes and the everything.
The
funky formations, everything is on the table. And you can feel it. I mean, it's hard to articulate, but there's a different emotion in the air when it's all or nothing.
Yeah, most definitely, and I agree with that. And you would know better than me because you've been there, you've been a lot further, and so for me, it's a little bit of a ramp up. I mean, well, not a lot of a ramp up, but at the same time, I think the message that was given this week by Sean and some other veterans is not apply that pressure on yourself so then the game speeds up, and so. There's a good mix of it, and I think we have enough guys with experience so that doesn't happen to us Saturday versus the Texans.
Who do you have in that locker room who talks about playoff experience, who's had the most experience in the playoffs? Anybody stand out?
I think guys more handle it in their rooms, or Frazier may call out on a guy, but obviously a guy, Micah Hyde has been to the playoffs a lot. Kurt Coleman, I've been 6 times. I haven't won a game, so you try to, maybe lend to some of the guys that have been there. Star, Lotalele has been to a Super Bowl, and so we have some guys that have had some experience and that will speak, individually to guys, and then, I've been able to share a little bit with Josh and some other younger players, just far as don't feel like you need to go and do something superhuman now that we're in postseason play, because oftentimes, at least in my experience, when I was trying to do that, I played my worst games because I just was trying to force everything and not playing my type of game and finding my flow within the game.
Yep. With Lorenzo Alexander, the phone line's open, 803-0550 and toll-free 1-888-552-550. Before we leave the regular season, we should talk about last Sunday and the finale against the Jets where, because of the circumstances, the Bills got a chance to honor you in what may have been your final home game, right? And that'd be a pretty good feeling for you.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was even better because it was more about my daughter than even me. Watching Zoie go out there and sing the national anthem.
Did that catch you by surprise?
And I had no clue. After talking to my wife, she actually asked the team back in June if Zoie could perform, and so Zoe's been working on this. She goes to Wall Studios and working with their director down there on obviously singing a song. Had a couple of times singing in the stadium, and they did a great job of keeping it on the down low. It was like a whole organizational kind of mission to kind of keep me in the dark, and it was great to be able to see her go out there, perform well. It was a very proud moment for me.
Your wife, your mother, your other children were down on the sidelines with you?
Yeah, and that's my dad standing behind her.
Your dad, okay.
Yeah, so, he flew in, surprised me. My mom flew in, surprised me. And then this was a huge surprise as well. And we got to take a picture. And I didn't know even as she was walking on the field, because we were taking a family picture, I'm like, where's Zoie going? And she's walking out there to sing. So it was really cool experience, and gotten a lot of great feedback. And a lot of tears, from people. And so it was just a really cool moment. And plus, a lot of the guys know Zoie, too, because she's always up at the facility making cookies for people. I mean, so they know all about her, and so it was a really special moment, I think, just for an entire team, because they see her as a little sister in a lot of ways.
Sure. Well, congratulations on all of that honor. You've really earned it here. Your 4 years here in Buffalo have been really unforgettable. And
I appreciate that.
Think about where the franchise was in the last year of Rex's tenure, and then, what it looked like and how it went, and then to see Sean come in and you being a part of everything that is built here. And I got to tell you, too, that you talk to the old guys, you got to be you in particular. You got to be really proud not only of what you've done the last 3 years and what could possibly still happen this year,
right,
but the transformation of the entire organization.
Yeah, it's been huge
during the last just 36 months.
Yeah, and it's been crazy. And I think that's probably the coolest thing to be a part of, is that, and hopefully we have helped the Bills organization set up something that's going to establish them on an annual basis. It's not just this year, but they've really developed, obviously, the mindset and that process that Sean has always talked about. And obviously leaders like myself and Kyle and Micah have helped establish a standard that will surpass us even playing for the Bills, and will be here, and they become more of what it was when you played, back in that late 80s and the 90s.
Well, Murphy, I hadn't thought about it. We talk about how the schedule, it's all on schedule. They got this plan, this process they're going to get. This place is almost unrecognizable.
You're right. You're right. It is.
Right?
Yeah, physically and just attitude-wise.
Attitude, vibe in the building.
Yeah.
Just unbelievably different.
You're right. The stuff that was, I think this is what Steve is saying, the stuff that was a priority, even when you started here under Rex, and just things getting done around the building, it's different now. You can feel it. Everything's a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain standard. I mean, playoff caliber doesn't just apply to our football team. It applies to everybody that is underneath the organization of, the Bills, PSC, everybody. And Sean Holt tries to hold everybody accountable. So even when he first got here, he had a meeting with the staff member and the business side of everything as well, to make sure that they had the same type of mentality carrying out their job, and that we were all in this together, and we can't have the expectation of, same old Bills, kind of doing our job, haphazardly. But if we're going to have excellence on our side, we need excellence on the business side as well. And I think collectively, because it does take a whole organization to win a Super Bowl, that has really helped us.
Sean took a timeout after one series of defense, and second series he sent you out there, and then before you got to play, and he took a timeout there to give you kind of an exit from the field. I don't know if everybody in the stands knew what was going on at that time.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. Cause I went out there for a play early in the season, early in the series. I wish I would have got a sack. I had a chance to get a sack. They missed the protection.
That would have been perfect.
That would have been cool to come off of.
Yeah.
But when he put me back in, I was like, I want to play at this point. You get riled up. I did my whole, because I didn't know how much I was going to play.
Right.
So I do my whole routine, take my supplements. So I'm all jacked up, ready to play. And I get one play in a timeout. It's like, man, let me get a little sweaty and let me hit somebody, then take me out.
I was doing the Sean McDermott show. I gave him a lot of trouble for completely wasting a timeout.
Yeah, right.
It's like, hey, you get roasted for that on a normal day, but it was good. It had to make. It was a nice moment, and it's.
Yeah, it's a cool honor. Obviously, I never wanted ever to be about me, but obviously Sean wanted to show his gratitude and the team as well, just as far as what I meant. So I mean, it's a cool experience, but we got a lot more work to do.
Well, one more question about how did you mentioned how they got to carry it on beyond Kyle last year, and now probably after you this year. How do you do that? There's no Lorenzo Alexander coming to the building, is there?
There's a Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, there's a Tremaine Edmonds, there's a Tre'Davious White. If me and Kyle have left this organization and there's a hole, we haven't done our jobs properly. And so, just like I said in the interview earlier on, I said Kyle Williams isn't physically in here, but he's in here. He's had a huge impact on me, and I know numerous other guys that are playing there. And so, yeah, it won't be my voice. It won't sound exactly the way I say it, but I do have an impact from the leadership and the relationships that I built with guys. They've watched me for the last, 3, some guys 4 years. And so I've imparted my wisdom in the way I do things. And so, yeah, it won't be me, but it'll be somebody else stepping up and kind of taking that mantle and that leadership on. And this team is filled with guys, offense, defense, and special teams that can really pick that mantle up from a leadership role and help carry and lead this team.
That's been a big difference as well, because in years past and perhaps on other teams that you were on, there was you were there, obviously, and Kyle was there on some other teams, but it was pretty shallow.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Right,
it was a little top-heavy in the leadership, and now it seems like you've got an entire team built of leaders in waiting, guys who are capable of
exactly
and desire to do.
And a lot of that is because Sean and Brandon identified guys that were obviously great, talented players at their prospective positions, but had those leadership qualities. You know, maybe drafting a fourth-year senior instead of getting a redshirt sophomore guy who hadn't quite matured yet, or identifying a guy like Tremaine Edmonds and knowing his pedigree and what his family background is, and you know he has leadership just built in him because of where he comes from. And when you have those type of guys kind of littered in, you bring them in, you know, you have a Kyle and myself and other guys to help kind of pretty much force it on them in a sense.
Right.
They just naturally want to grab it, and then when I'm gone, when I'm done, those guys just naturally just take over.
Hey, let's talk a little bit about this weekend, and let's talk, if I can, about the difference between playoff caliber and championship caliber, which is the you laugh like it's not important.
Yeah, I mean, I full disclosure, I had talked to Sean about this because I think, and it goes back to not that I don't like it, because now we are playing for a championship, but I just want to make sure, as an old guy, I understand what he's saying, but sometimes young guys figure, okay, we had playoff caliber, now we're going to championship caliber. Now, what does that mean? Do I need to do something different that I hadn't been doing all year? And I think Sean did a great job of explaining what he means by going to championship caliber, and it's just continue to build that mindset of what we carried and what we learned during the season into the postseason play so that we can win a championship. So you don't have to change anything that you've done. Just continue to, obviously learn from your mistakes and continue to grow and get better. But there will be a natural progression or ramp up in emotional and physical need that we're going to need from you as we go into the postseason play.
I think one of the things about the vibe and the mantra coming out of the coach's office and to you guys is really going to serve you well in weeks like this, because no game was treated differently.
Right.
And here's my little old guy 2 bits of advice. You're right about that. You don't have to tell these young guys, you don't have to do anything special this week.
Right.
You are special.
Right, exactly.
You're a playoff team. You earned your way here. So whatever you do is the reason you know what I'm saying? You don't have to do anything extra.
Right.
You are extra.
Exactly.
Right? So, and I think that is going to serve the team well now, knowing that, and all these other games in the roller coaster that you ride through 16 games, they're all the same. The Monday night's the same. The Sunday night football is the same as the Thanksgiving game.
Right.
Same as the Sunday at 1, week 3, Sunday. And that will serve you well now, even though it's going from playoff to championship. Listen, this is what we do. This is who we are. And I think that really is the moment now where you think, man, it's a perfect time to have that in place.
Exactly. And Sean did a great job of really articulating what you just said to the guys earlier in this week. And so guys are ready to go, focus, really know what's at stake. And I think the biggest difference, just guys just learning from what we've done in the past and understanding that we can't have those little mishaps that we've had in some of these big games before. But I think it's going to help us because we've played in a game very similar like this, whether it was Pittsburgh, Baltimore, the Patriots. Now I think we're ready to kind of cross over and take the next step.
With Lorenzo Alexander for the lowdown, his keys to a Buffalo victory. Let's get to the lowdown. Number one is on the offense to get going pretty early in the game. Huh?
Yeah, just creating some great rhythm offensively. Obviously, you want to try to keep Deshaun Watson off the field as much as possible. And so anytime that Josh and the offense can start to drive and boom, boom, get 3 or 4 first downs, maybe kick a field goal, preferably a touchdown early in the game, and just kind of get that rhythm throughout. You don't have to score every single time, even though that's the goal, but just create a couple of first downs. Keep him off the field, get us going, allow our defense to rest so that we can come out and obviously chase around Deshaun Watson when we have the opportunity to.
Yeah, and it's complementary football, no question. And, anything the offense can do to help you guys score points or just hang on to the football,
right,
it's going to pay dividends later in that game. Keep their offense out of rhythm, the more they have to stand and watch, right? I mean, you'd love to see Josh Allen put together a 15-play,
yeah, it'd be great.
Drive, right?
Yeah, utilizing, obviously, Devin Singletary and Frank Gore, running the ball, passing the ball, some explosion plays, but just methodically working their way down, obviously taking care of the football, as you mentioned, and then really just scoring points early and often as much as we can and make them get out of suits in a sense.
In your second lowdown, you speak, your second lowdown is impact Deshaun Watson.
Right.
You have a great deal of regard for him, huh?
I do.
You got to keep him off the field.
Because he could easily be a MVP candidate as well, just as far as the type of season he put together. I mean, I was just watching this guy, and not obviously watching him, but I was watching my matchup, the offensive line, the guards, the tackles, the centers. And on this film, you see guys giving up pressures and opportunities to hit Deshaun, but he is shrugging guys off 2 and 3 at a time, scrambling, getting out of the pocket, getting hit as he's going down, finding Hopkins or Fales or Fuller in the end zone for touchdowns. So this dude just has this innate ability just to make plays because he's an elite athlete and playmaker. And so that's why I talk about keeping him off the field with our offensive driving, and then for us, impacting him with our coverages, not giving him a clear picture, maybe making him pat the ball, like we did last time. We played him from a rush standpoint, corralling him in the pocket. So then you have, not just one guy, but another guy coming in and a third guy coming in to obviously tackle him, but also then attack the football because he does get loose with it at times. And that's just him trying to be a playmaker, but he's not going to go anywhere if he doesn't have the football in his hands. And so I think just having that holistic approach to how we attack and try to corral him is going to really help us in this football game.
Yeah, I think, and the last thing you've got is +2 in turnover margin. That's
right.
That puts it right on your map. Even if the offense doesn't turn it over at all, you still got to come up with 2. You think you need that big of a margin?
I think that's going to be significant for us. In any game that we've really won this year and been dominant, we've won the turnover battle. I think about Pittsburgh. I think about losing to Baltimore where we couldn't find an additional turnover. Mm-hmm. Same thing in the Patriots game. We got one, but we could have had a couple of more options. And then when we played them the last time, I think we might have had 2. But then our offense gave up 2 or 3. Their defense scored. Right. So I'm really trying to put the onus. They have a good playmaking defense, and so we need, as a defense, to obviously play up to that elite standard and really win the game by even scoring on defense. But only way we can do that is if we create more opportunities by getting more turnovers.
I told Murph this. The Bills team is a real solid solid defensively, very low key, don't turn it over, ball control offense, stay on the field, make some plays once in a while. The Houston team is a little different. Their defense is a big play defense, sack, strip, fumble, and then their offense same way, big play over the top. They're kind of like this fireworks display, and the Bills are more of a I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Steady.
Yeah, they're like the Macy's Day Parade floating by, right? I mean, there's nothing spectacular about it. You just kind of look at it. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's a really difference in the way the two teams are constructed. And really, the key for you guys is just keep the lid on it and make them go the long way.
Yeah, and that's what it's always about for us, especially defensively. Because I throughout the season, when I kind of think back, there might be 1 or 2 drives where somebody methodically went, 15-play drive and just marched it down the field on us. The only time we really give up points is when we give up an explosion play or some stupid penalty, 15-yarder, and they get chunk yards, chunk plays, and then it puts them in a spot to either score a field goal or a touchdown.
Right. Sounds like you've done a little research on the game last year, the Week 6 game in 2018, looking at this game?
Yeah, we definitely watched it, obviously, to kind of go back to see what made us successful playing against them. And then, obviously, Hopkins showed up when the game was on the line. And so we understood that it has to be a 4-quarter game. You can't defend him for 3.5 quarters. You have to do it for 4. The same thing with Deshaun Watson. And I don't want to – I mentioned Hopkins and Deshaun Watson, but I don't want to forget about Hyde and Duke Johnson as well, because they do a great job in the run and the pass game. And so if we want to have success in any of those other areas, it's definitely going to have to start with the run game because, we've looked at this year our explosion plays where they came from. We think about the Eagles game where they had that 20 personnel, 2 backs in the backfield and running. It all stems from this game last year when we played Houston in Houston, where most of these teams went back, watched the film, and saw where we had some issues at. And
was Houston doing that?
Yes. Yeah, we had some issues too, and it's something that we focus on in the offseason, OTAs, where it's become a little bit of a problem, but not a huge problem. But this is where it stemmed from, and so I know they're gonna. They're a copycat offense, and so they're going to look at that, see what they did well, and definitely probably try to at least hit it with us a couple of times.
You guys did a good job on the road this year, and this is a road game in a fairly tough venue, huh?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you go on the road, obviously Houston has a great crowd. As we said, they're very explosive, so the crowd is always in it, waiting for a big-time play. And so if we can knock them out early, have some big plays of our own, and kind of take the crowd out of it, it'll be a huge up for us. But, we're road-tested and battled. I mean, we're 6-2 on the road. We've played some good teams tough on the road. And so we look forward to going out there and competing. We're not, we're not cocky, but we're confident. Kind of going into Houston this week.
Yeah, it's been a good road team, and you go into a place like this, and plus most of you guys were just there last year. I mean, this team, a lot of you guys remember this stadium, and I've always said this, and I said it even in weeks 1 and 2 of this year when you were in the Jet stadium twice in a row. Well, something about going back into a place where, okay, I remember this. You know, you kind of you got to stay at the same hotel and all that.
Especially
stuff.
when you've had some success too. You know, because defensively we play really well, so guys just kind of, I've been here, I played well last year.
Right.
Just your mind, you just feel a little bit different, and so that all that adds up to hopefully, playing well on Saturday.
Good luck to you, Lorenzo. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for coming.
I appreciate it.
Hope to
Thanks.
see you next week.
Peace.
Yeah,
Lorenzo
always.
Alexander.
One day sooner, too. Saturday. Gosh, good deal.
The Lowdown brought to you by Hutch's, redefining city dining. When we come back, Hall of Famer Rod Woodson will join us. He's calling the game on the radio for Westwood One on Saturday. He'll join us live to talk about the Bills and the Texans. It's One Bills Live, presented by Kaleida Health from the Seneca Buffalo studio. This is Buffalo Bills Radio.